What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists? Welcome to an episode of P&Q, the question and answer series where you get to asking me questions or put comments to me and then I respond the following week. You can do this one of two ways. You can pop your comments or questions down below in the comments section, or alternatively, for an anonymous response, you can email me at miniwarzone@gmail.com and I'll put a link in the video description below. And I think I've got quite a few things to go through today. I've got at least two emails that I can see here off the top of my sheet. Yeah, so alright, we'll start with questions, shall we? And microphone's all caught up. We'll start with questions and end up with emails. I think that's probably maybe the best way to do it. I don't know. See how we go. Okay, enough preamble. Let's get on with it. Cruange Lasilicus. Hi Mike. He says, nice P&Q. What gaming systems or gaming themes do you not like and stay away from? Good job I've got my coffee for this. Just move it over. What gaming systems or themes do I not like? I don't know really. I suppose I'm not a huge fan of Napoleonics. Historical stuff. Some historical stuff is okay. For instance, American Civil War, I particularly liked that. That's okay. That's quite good. I do enjoy that. Yes. Other than that, I can't think of anything. I don't think there's any particular gaming system. Probably ones that aren't currently being expanded upon or in use. That's not to say I wouldn't play out of production games. Good question. But yeah, I'd say probably mostly historical stuff. I'm not incredibly keen on the Second World War, for instance. I tried it and it wasn't for me. So we'll say some historical stuff in the Second World War. Bolt action now is something I stay away from because I've just got rid of it all. So I will stay away from that. It's not to say I would never get back into something involving that again, but it's not yet anyway. Not at the moment. So. Alright, next on the agenda is the Soul Assassin, and he says, out of all the 40k armies, which do you think GW should stop making? Well, that's a very good question. From a business point of view, GW should stop making whatever army isn't making them money. If they're still making them money, they should still keep doing it. But to stop, they should stop making any army that doesn't make them any money. That said, they do need to look at why said army is not making them any money. We'll take Sisters of Battle as an example because it's a good way to pluck Sisters of Battle too. I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine GW doesn't make an awful amount of money out of Sisters of Battle. So they could say to themselves, right, we'll get rid of that line then. But you need to say, well, hang on a minute, why are they not popular? The main reason I can think of is they're metal, they're not plastic, they're way out of date, they need updating. I think they could bring them back. When I say bring them back, I mean more popular, get a decent codex and some better models and more updated sculpts. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, I would say any army that doesn't make them money, because I want GW to stick around. Scragguard says, great answers, mate. Question, if you had no choice and had to choose a historic battle to take part in, using only what they used in the battle, which battle would you take part in? Depends, am I the general in the nice white tent on the hill, or am I actually in the battle? We'll say the Battle of Hastings 1066. So I'll try and do my bit to keep those Normans out. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Battle of Hastings 1066. So yeah, hey, we're getting through these. This is okay. I hope I'm answering them okay, by the way. I'm not 100% today, but I'll do my best. Heresy Productions says, good answer, Pete. Sorry if you commented on this already. Did you see Batman vs Superman? If so, any thoughts? No, I haven't commented on it as yet, and I haven't seen it as yet. It is on the rental lists that I'm hoping will pop through the door sometime soon. Well, I suppose I could just stream it, but yeah, I mean, we're going to go and see Suicide Squad at the weekend. I'm told there's a spoiler in that for Batman vs Superman, but you know, I don't mind, whatever. I'll see them all in the end anyway. That's okay. That's quite alright. But no, sorry, I haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping it'll be quite good. I never pay any attention to what critics say about anything like that, because at the end of the day, I feel it's up to you. It's your own mind, and you know, it's completely entirely up to you whether you like it or not. Dan Harris says, hey dude, hope you are well. Yes, I am quite well, thank you. My question is, have you ever played Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and if so, what armies did you play? If not, then why not? What about Fantasy didn't you like? Take care, Dan. Never played it. And if not, why not? Didn't play it because I chose 40k over Fantasy. Not that the models are any better, because they're not. In fact, probably Fantasy's got nicer models, I would say, in general. But the rules, although 40k is not a great rule set, as in tight, more leaks than a leaky thing, I felt it was better than the Fantasy game with the movement trays. I'm not really a huge fan of all that sort of stuff. It's too clunky for my liking. I was hoping they were going to integrate Fantasy and Warhammer 40k rules so that you could kind of cross them over. Obviously the 40k weaponry would outmatch Fantasies, but I was thinking Fantasy might be able to balance that with magic and stuff, you know. But that's the way I always hoped it would go, but it didn't, obviously. So yeah, it was the old clunky rule system. I didn't like the look of it. It looked too boring and didn't flow well for me from what I could see. But the models were great. I did start collecting the models. Well, start collecting. I bought a few. I had a few. I probably would, if I was going to play Fantasy, I'd probably play Lizard Men, because I like lizards as an animal. I don't know, they were good sculpts. Or dwarves, they look quite cool as well. Yes. James and his stuff said, great vid, have you tried Dead Zone? No, I've never tried Dead Zone. I suppose it's one of those games that's always been like there, but I just never got around to. I don't know anything about it, so I can't have any issue with it. So no, I don't have anything against it as a game. I don't know anything about it. Is it any good? But maybe more people should do videos on it, and I'm willing to learn. I'm always willing to learn and find out about new stuff. I don't know anything about it, James. Hopefully it's a good game. I think you're into it, aren't you? So yeah, perhaps you could say something about it for us people that have no clue. That'd be awesome. Idic Beer says, nice answers, Pete. Being so hot at the moment, most of the time, what is your number one cold drink and ice cream to cool you down? Well, I like cookie dough, I suppose, is my favourite ice cream. Ben and Jerry's cookie dough. As for cold drink, ice water, I suppose, or ice squash, orange or blackcurrant water, orange or blackcurrant squash, and cookie dough by Ben and Jerry's. Absolutely amazing. Get through another page. Well, 5 pages today, which is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Tattoo for you. So it's from Pink You Buddy. I want to open a gaming club / comic / tattoo shop. Lol. Plenty to do there then. I'm getting my kiddos' Tyranids finished so we can run some small narrative games. That'll be awesome. Look forward to that. Question. Have you ever heard of Palladium's Rifts RPG series? It's a sci-fi fantasy one. I really enjoy the fluff. Heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. It's a bit like Dead Zone. You know, I know of it, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. Sorry. Is it any good? Tell me more. Do a video. Question. Another question. I just started reading Neil Gaiman's American Gods. Have you ever read it? I've never read it, but I know about it because that won the Hugo and Nebula Awards, didn't it? That one. Yes, it's an award-winning novel, that one. If so, would you watch the series coming in 2017? I would, yes, because it's clearly a good book. It's like one I must get around to reading. Always a good time chilling with you. It lifts my spirits when the world brings me down. Take care, brother. Peace, dude. Always a pleasure. Now, I'm on to the questions from other shows. There was only one question from the other shows, and you know it's from Spider666. On his show, a chat, a brew, and a big black dog. Laddie Show. The Laddie Show. Now, this is their question of the week, so I'm going to answer it as best I can. Alright, so to set the scene, you've got a small hobby shop. Now, this was asked by Ali, actually. Right. My shop's going to be not too small, it's going to be quite big, actually, a little bit bigger. Medium-sized shop. Yes, it's going to have lots of stock. It's going to be nice and bright, too, with maybe a blue carpet and lots of display cabinets. I'm digressing now. Anyway, yes, when she says, when I walk into your shop, there's 4 tables in front of me. Now this is good. I like that because all too often the tables in a gaming store are at the back, out of the way, which in my opinion isn't the best place to put gaming tables in a shop like that, because someone who's new to the hobby, they ain't going to want to go up to those tables. They're just not. You're not, and the reason is because there's almost always a large group of geeks around them, at least 1 or 2 of the tables. There is. Sorry, we're all geeks. I'm a geek. Hey, don't knock them. Geeks rule the world. So, have the tables at the front, as you suggest. Excellent choice. That way everybody gets to see what's going on. Right, now, as a new person starting in the games community, what 4 games would you have on each table, and how would you try and sell me these games? Well, 4 games, so I've kind of got them right. So as you walk in the shop, to your right, the table on your right, immediately in front of you, would contain, to the best of my ability as a business, it would contain the very latest game that's just come out, that kind of thing. So whatever is hot off the press, that would be there. To your left on that table would be, I don't know, a game that's got nice miniatures and looks good on the table, something like Dungeon Saga or something of that ilk. Then the back 2 tables, the one on the right would have 40k because it's probably the most well-known mainstream war game out there. The one on the back left I would use for the card games, the various card games that people come in and play. I'd like to have more, obviously. I'd like to have I'd like my tables to be. I mean, to get you into it, I'd be more wanting to show it. The purpose of it is showing you the games, like what we've got, and we'd have tons of other stuff as well. And so obviously, my games on those 4 tables would change, possibly every week, maybe, or monthly at least, at the very least. Now, to get you into the stuff, I mean, my shop, my business would have an appointment system where I could book you in for a taster session of a set game. You could obviously browse around. I'd walk around with you and I'd talk about various games that we have. I'd ask you what you like, what you're into. Do you like fantasy? Do you like science fiction? Is that more your bag? Or do you like weird stuff? Or steampunk? Or what? Do you want western? Do you like historical? It would depend on your tastes. Then I book you in for an appointment. Then either myself or a member of my staff would play through whatever that game is with you, and there may be other people that you could play with on that day. So either myself or my staff could go through a game of something with up to 4 of you, maybe, perhaps, just to show you if you like it or not. So people that have expressed an interest in a particular game. So that's how I would do it. That is what I would do. Right, so that's that. Hope that answers your question there. On to emails. I've got 2, so we're on the last 2. So don't worry, guys. It's not going to be super long. Right. Nice coffee. Okay, so it says, first one says, "Hi Peter, thanks for the replies from last week. Here's a couple more. Following the example set by incursions into other gaming systems, it stands as a high chance that Games Workshop are going to eventually find themselves in the crosshairs of politically correct forces. They already have to a minor degree. It's a subjective opinion to say whether this is needed and whether it's good or bad. But what is an objective fact is that the game changes, often unrecognisably so. Do you think that?" Okay, let's get comfy for this. 1. The Warhammer community is going to be even further divided between traditionalists and progressives in the future. Okay, well, take that question. I don't think it's going to be even further divided. I think it's just going to stay as it is. I think you'll always have traditionalists, you'll always have progressives, you will always have that. Some people like to stick with what they know best, and they're the kind of store in that they just stick with it and they play nothing else bar the games they like. Other people chop and change all the time, and other people like to try whatever is the latest fad game or whatever. I think that will always be so. I don't think that will ever change. I hope not. I think the only thing that will change is the numbers and the balance of it all. Okay, 2. Well-meaning members of the community, by their willing concessions here and there, endangers the game and the universe as it is, in the long run, by encouraging slower and more unnoticeable change. Do I think that? Well-meaning members of the community, by their willing concessions here and there, endangers the game and the universe as it is in the long run, by encouraging slower and more unnoticeable change. No, I don't think so. At the end of the day, you got to remember it. Oh, my dog's just coming in now. It's nice. I got that. It's a lovely, beautiful day. He's just opened the door. The sun is shining. You know, buddy. At the end of the day, we've got to remember it's a game. It's a game. It's a way of getting away from the drudgeries of life, whether that's your job, physical or mental conditions, illnesses, or any other problems that you may have, or we may have. It's a game of toy soldiers. It's just an aid to our suspension of disbelief. And I mean, you say it's subjective. Yes, it is. Political correctness. But I think political correctness is nothing more than a method of control. It's to be political control. And that's my own personal belief. Too many people hang on to its every thread. It gets worse. It just gets worse and worse. You know, it does. But there is hope, because population's always expanding. There's more people. More and more people detach themselves from the umbilical cord of nonsense of society. They're just ridiculous that society just tries to impress upon us. So yeah, I mean, years ago you had students campaigning and going on walks and displays and what do they call them? Marches for freedom of speech. We want freedom of speech. Now they're doing exactly the same, but for the opposite reason. They want to reduce. They're saying you don't know. They're trying to get rid of freedom of speech. So it's crazy. It's the umbilical cord of nonsense that society impresses upon us. I don't think things are going to affect the gaming community. It's not going to affect the way I do things. Obviously, as a company, as a business, if you produce games, you must adhere to any laws laid down by your land. But as it stands, political correctness, there's no law about it. People get offended, and if they do, so what? Are companies still making money? Yes, they are. Only when that changes will they do anything about it. I feel that's just my own personal belief. Obviously, you're free to disagree with me. I'm not, I wouldn't dream of trying to impose my will upon anyone else. I think everything is fine as long as you do not try to impose your will on anyone else. Okay? So yes, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in thinking, saying what I think is right. As long as I don't hurt anybody else, that's fine. People don't like it, there's the door, literally, as I'm sat here. End rant. I'm going to end it because I could go on about this subject for hours, and that wouldn't be very constructive. No. So let's move on swiftly to the last email. Let's hope it's lighter. Yeah. It says, hey bro, do you change your studio layout at all, and how do you store all of your paints? Do you have any sort of system? I struggle with this on a daily basis. Also, how do you deal with hobby burnout? Well, the storage of paints, and that's something I've asked a few people on their Q&As over the last couple of months, different people. I struggle with the same thing. I have a basic system. Obviously, I've got my my Citadel paints, my GW paints. I've got them into like base paints, layer paints, texture paints, or dry paints. I've got them in a kind of system, but everything else, not really. No, and I do struggle with that. Also, how do I deal with hobby burnout? This is the last one, by the way, so I'll pop this down. How do I deal with hobby burnout? Well, I deal with it, funnily enough, by rearranging my studio. I don't actually suffer with hobby burnout because I feel I do that. I think every so often, your hobby room or your area, whatever you do, I think you've got to change it around a little bit or go through it, make it more organised. I am the worst person for organisation. I know this. I know that. But if you try to implement some sort of organisation into your working area, your workbench, your where you paint and build your room, it comes across in your mental well-being. I think so. Rather than having everything cluttered up over everywhere, and then you look at it, you go, "Oh, it's such a mess. None of it's done." And put it all away. Get one thing at a time. Finish it. Put that away. Get the next thing out that you need to do. That's what I'm doing at the moment. That's how I'm dealing with my stuff, and that's how I do it. So, thank you as always for joining me on this P&Q. It's been an absolute blast. My dog's asleep. My doggy is asleep. Dear of him. I don't know if you can have a look over there. You see him? There he is. He's woken up. He looked at me, he's going, yes, can I help you? And there he is. He's like, he's giving me the look like, you carry on, chap. I'm alright here. It's nice and cool in here now. That's probably why he's come out here. He wants me to put the fan over next to him, probably. Oh, I'll go and get some work done. Thank you as always. Remember, all brushes lead to war. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to leave your comments, questions down below, or email me at miniwarzone@gmail.com. Later, people. Thank you. Bye bye for now.